116 members of Congress held or qualified for dual citizenship between 2009 and 2025. Here's the video.
I've been looking into something mighty curious at the request of one of my followers. It turns out there's at least 116 people who served in Congress since 2009 who had dual citizenship, either because they were born in another country or they inherited it from their folks. Some gave it up and some kept it, but a whole lot of them never told the public either way. So I got to wondering, if you're serving in the U.S. government, shouldn't your loyalty be to just one country? And how come so many folks in Congress were born overseas and they never had to give it up? They didn't even have to tell nobody, y'all. And check out the big chunks of Israeli dual citizens in the grid too that's linked down below. Some going back all the way to 1975, serving up until recently. If they're making laws for us, who's checking whether they got ties to other governments? Is it possible to even serve two masters and still just act in one nation's best interest? One? If they don't have to tell us about it, why? Why? It seems like a fair question for a citizen to ask, though, don't it? And you know, some of these folks weren't just born to foreign parents. They were born in another country, start to finish. So I gotta ask, if someone's got citizenship from a place they were born, they never gave it up, how do we know where their true allegiance lies? Can a lawmaker even be born under one flag and still vote with their whole heart for another one? And if they're holding two passports while sitting in our halls of power, shouldn't we at least get to know which nations they legally belong to? Why does a housewife have to do the math and make an Excel spreadsheet? Nobody tells us anything, y'all. Why? Okay, bye.
Approximately 7.6 million people are of Jewish faith, live in the United States. And Israel, I think, is the size of New Jersey. So my big question, and I think the question everyone should have, by the way, bless her Southern heart.
Some sweet tea with that.
I wanted some sweet tea and some Chick-fil-A when I was listening to that bit there.
But they close on Sunday.
Well, but they close on Sunday. The question that I was asking after looking at that is, what is the rationale when less than around 2% of the population is Jewish, and in modern times, Israel, is my understanding, is their ancestral homeland, and that is geographically the size of New Jersey. So tiny population, tiny ancestral home, yet it seems like there's a lot of influence of this little tiny country with these guys with these cool hats and stuff. What do you guys think? What's going on here?
Look, so apparently some of these people can have dual citizenship. They qualify for it, but they're not holding it. But the way I look at it with it is this is like the bisexual. So they're like, what, bi political, bi country? I don't know. It's just goofy. So they're not having any stance or taking any lines. So obviously it's a compromise of which direction they would be. And it is supposed to be more the will of the people versus the government itself, in my opinion. But the American people, not people of other countries and so forth. And if they do have dual citizenship, they need to drop it to probably be in any political stance here. And I do believe there's some stuff with the Marxist manifesto with infiltrate the governments of other countries to spread the nonsense and the crap and hold your other citizenships and stuff and make it good for this and that. So she is right with a good portion of this, that if your obligation, your loyalty is not to the American people and it's to people of other countries, why are you representing the American people or saying that you're representing the American people if you're holding by countryism or citizenship or whatever, or even the obligation or opportunity to, which I kind of get part of it. If your heritage is close, that's kind of fine, but
why Israel? Why Jewish?
Well, there's other countries too, I'm sure, and they're mixed with stuff. I mean, but these people, if they're not like that and they're not representing the people and they're not vetted and they're not part of the actual will of the American people, there's an issue to be said with that.
And it's just common sense that people should be disclosing. It's common sense, which doesn't seem to be so common anymore, but people should be disclosing their conflicts of interest.
Rational wisdom.
Well, the fact that they're not disclosing it implies nefarious intentions.
Yeah.
I mean, you're swearing an oath as a legislator to the Constitution of the United States, meaning you are loyal to this nation and this nation only. It rubs me the wrong way when you have citizenship somewhere else.
Doesn't Elon Musk have dual citizenship?
Yes.
He's not a
Yes.
congressional person or nothing.
He's not.
But everybody knows it. Everybody knows that he's like South African.
South Africa, the only place in the world where the South is good is South Africa and Korea.
I looked at his Wikipedia page. Apparently, he's also like Canadian. I did not know that.
Oh, he has 3 of
He
them.
has like 3. So
Nice.
I wonder if he has to disclose.
You shouldn't be making laws and rules for a country if you're not solely part of it for the will of the American people. There's no way around that because that just sounds insane.
Yeah. And forgive me if I go down this rabbit hole, but I mean, the same people that were behind COVID in the media also were of Jewish faith. The CDC director, Michelle Walensky, the CDC deputy director, the COVID czar, Health and Human Services, Javier Becerra, apparently all either Jewish or have dual citizenship to Israel. I mean, the list goes on, and this was true in Trump's cabinet. This has been true if you look at the directors of the Federal Reserve. This is true in Congress. So again, going back to my question, why is it that a nation the size of New Jersey, with a population around 2%, wields so much control over the United States?
So I do want to just be clear, just so we clear up this spreadsheet, because the spreadsheet is to a certain degree a little misleading.
Okay.
So this does not imply that all these people have dual citizenship. It does list the people that qualify for citizenship in other countries. It is not presently illegal to serve in Congress with dual citizenship, so that should probably be.
Should it be?
That should be the
question.
conversation. But there are some that's misleading. For instance, Polish citizenship. Basically, if you live in America and you're a U.S. citizen, if you have a grandparent or great-grandparent that resided in Poland after 1920, you are actually eligible for Polish citizenship, and you can qualify it for a dual citizenship.
Is this you letting everybody know that you're 25% Polish?
I am Polish.
Qualify.
My grandmother was in an internment camp during World War II. I am Polish. I could qualify for Polish citizenship, which is kind of unique. But that means that if I served in Congress, I would be listed on this list as being eligible for citizenship in Poland, which I think is a little misleading. So I just want to make sure that we kind of clarify that, because I don't want to drag all these people through the mud for having the ability to be dual citizens.
Yeah.
Also, that's not reasonable. If they're not holding it, then hopefully their interests are the will of the American people.
And I appreciate you clarifying that, Jason, but I'm not mad, but for the third time I'm asking the question. I don't feel like anybody's giving me an answer. Why? Why is it an area the size of New Jersey with a people group that's hovering around 2% wield so much control over our legislature? Does anybody want to take a stab at that?
I mean, because they're being funded. That's ultimately what it is. They're
So we're
being
getting
funded.
money. Okay, so
That goes back to the conversation we had with Ted Cruz, which, by the way, Ted Cruz was a dual citizen of Canada. He publicly renounced his citizenship back when he started running for office. So
Kinda
he
have
is
to
a
if you're
dual
gonna be
citizen,
governor of
or was a
Texas.
dual citizen, but he did renounce his citizenship of Canada.
he said, "I'm sorry about that."
How many of these of each main political party are these people on your list too? That's what I'm curious about.
It's a huge mix.
Is it a lot of
It's-
Republicans, Democrats, third parties, just a whole mix, or is there more of one versus the other? Or
I mean, listen, you have Dan Crenshaw, right?
Oh.
American hero. He's a Scottish citizen by birth.
oh, he was born okay. I like Dan though.
Like he could have dual citizenship.
He could. He qualifies for it.
Jared Polis, who served in the House, is on this list. He was of Polish descent. You
Who's
have
in the
Ted
back?
Cruz. You have Michelle Bachmann. You have, I mean, obviously we know Ilhan Omar
I was gonna say that filthy ding-dong.
and all of the Mexico.
Didn't she marry her brother? Gross.
But you have on this list Tulsi Gabbard, right? Because technically she is Samoan by descent.
Okay.
She's on the list. You have a ton of guys on this list that are from both parties.
So some of it's valid and some of it's a little misleading, and just because of qualifications that they could.
But you confirm that they all qualify if they so choose to exercise that option to have dual citizenship to Israel, right?
Correct.
That's incredible.
Because they're of Jewish descent.
Yeah, and it goes back to the question whether you have dual citizenship or whether you're a person of Jewish. Let's just camp out on the fact that they're of Jewish descent. This is a extreme minority. Let's assume the best of these people. Let's assume that they are the salt and light of the earth. It's still a mathematical question. Why the disproportionality? Why such little represented group wields 116 members of Congress? I mean, it would make more sense if they were Mexican, dude.
So 26 of them on this list are Israeli citizenship via law of return, which means because they're of Jewish descent, they could gain Israeli citizenship. We have, I think it's about 20 that qualify Mexico. You have one that's listed as naturalized. You have 3 South Koreans that could be because they were born in South Korea.
South Korea is the good Korea, for those of you that don't know.
You have 6 Germans, 3 French, 2 Denmarks. You have 1,
Germans
2,
started
3,
2
4,
world
5,
wars.
6. You have 7 Cubans on this list.
They make good cigars.
You have 4 Canadians. So I understand your conversation
Wolverine.
about why
they're all
large
Jews, though.
number. Why is Israeli the largest number? I think it does boil down in the conversation that Ted Cruz had with
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson not too long ago. I think a lot of it has to do with AIPAC and with funding.
So
but that's to answer your question.
I have kind of a question with it. So if they have dual citizenship, that means they could possibly make some really crappy illegal decisions, terrible things, illegal funding, whatever, crappy laws, and then be like, oh, I'm out, I'm dipping to another country.
Exactly.
And I'm going to have amnesty from this crap because I have citizenship somewhere else without any recourse or anything going against them if they get to such a stance or such a point, if you will. Is that a possibility or something to be thought of?
I mean, you could have the same conversation with Native Americans that serve in Congress that still have tribal.
I love those
affiliation.
guys. Those guys are great.
I mean, those guys are able to just return back to the
reservation.
to the reservation and,
laws.
Basically be
It's like
protected
one
as well.
foot in, one foot out. Either you're American or you're not. And I have a specific issue with the first generation Mexican community in this country. I actually saw a blog about this yesterday. So many first generation Mexicans come from Mexico and they leave their families in Mexico, but they work 7-8 months out of the year in the United States, and they're sending all their money back. They're not learning the English language. They're not buying guns. They're not, joining mainstream American society. They got one foot in Mexico, one foot
acclimating.
They're not joining the American mainstream, and I think that idea is tandem with these members of Congress. They're loyal to one country. They're of a particular faith that arguably is very underrepresented in the United States. But the dual citizenship issue is what I have issue with. It's like either you're going to move here, you're going to plant your flag, plant your feet into the ground, and be American and join the American experience, or don't.
Well, that comes back to like the old school immigration stuff, like Ellis Island and all that stuff, changing names to more American sounding names.
And they learn English.
Learning English and acclimating to some of the culture. Some of it I agree with because I'm real big on know your heritage and stuff and what you come from, because it's good to know where your roots are and stuff. But that's why I always have a problem with I'm Mexican American. I'm like, no, you're American Mexican. I'm African American. No, you're American African or something. But
We got a new one.
Wait, hold up. So in 2023, this is House Resolution 946, Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act. It did die in 2023. It has been brought up. But this right here, for the context, in Congress, a representative must be a U.S. citizen for the prior 7 years, while a senator must be a citizen for the past 9. However, the U.S. allows a citizen to obtain dual citizenship with another nation. Indeed, some prominent Congress members are or have been dual citizens. It goes on to list a couple of those. The exact number of U.S. Dual citizens is unknown because the government does not officially track it. What this bill does, the Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act, would mandate that political candidates for federal office publicly reveal in required forms if they are a citizen of an additional nation besides the U.S. So we are just trying to get information, which I think is critical. I think that's the point of this conversation. I think that we should draw it back to that. That basically what some of these members of Congress are trying to do is to make sure that it's disclosed.
Yeah, what was Schwarzenegger? Does he have dual citizenship when he was governor of California? I was just kind of curious.
good question.
I believe he did.
I mean, because he's from Austria, so was he like an Austrian citizen and an American citizen?
Well-
and honestly, Schwarzenegger talks. He talks, and I think he's more aligned with like. I don't agree with him politically on a lot of stuff, but he's pretty big on the being American and how good it is and stuff. But
That's a good talk.
I was honestly just curious because he's real big on the freedoms of America, criticizing political representations and all this stuff, so I was just curious. So he did have Austrian citizen.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a dual citizen.
Okay.
He actually had to get special permission from Austria because Austria's laws do not allow dual citizenship. So he was an exception. He is a dual citizen of both Austria and the United States, which means there's probably not very many dual citizens of Austria and the United States.
Yeah. And I'm going to be a little bit of a downer on this thing. Like, as good as the information availability is, it's going to be insubstantial if the voters don't go out and do their own research. I think a lot of this is just going to fly under the radar. Voters aren't going to do their research. They're not going to see what conflicting interests that their potential new congressmen are going to have, the potential new senators are going to have. I think the information being available is fantastic, but do the research.
Well, the research to even discover a lot of this would probably just be a lot of campaign financial sheets that are public information that most voters don't look at too, because they'll see if something's coming from another country or entity or whatever it is.
People just aren't going to put in the effort to look at them.
Yeah.
Like most of your uneducated voting base.
And I would be remiss to not point out the fact that we elected a sitting U.S. president who was never a U.S. citizen, Barry Soetoro. Sheriff Arpaio uncovered the fact that he was not born in this country. His research uncovered that he was actually born in Kenya. So but that's a side issue. What I really want to focus on is on March 27th, the Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act is a congressional bill aimed at requiring candidates for federal office to publicly disclose all countries in which they hold citizenship. This has been introduced by the Thomas Massey. Quote, if we continue allowing dual citizens to run for federal office, candidates should disclose to voters all countries in which they hold citizenship. I couldn't agree more. This is the spirit of transparency. Like, if you want to run for office, you want to ask for my vote, and you happen to be a citizen of Libya, that would be nice to know.
That was co-sponsored by Andy Biggs, Republican out of Arizona, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican out of Georgia, and Clay Higgins out of Louisiana, also a Republican.
It's wonderful. I think this is exactly what we need. I think that the Constitution was true when it said we're going to defend this Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. The founders were smart enough to understand there would be domestic enemies.
So Fox News has a video on this. Let's go ahead and roll that just for some context.
You're either going to be loyal to, you cannot be loyal to two masters. You'll either be loyal to one or disloyal to another. I mean, scripture is very clear. You can only have one master. And especially if you're in government and you're a servant of the nation that you ran to serve, that should be the only one to serve. It's like the polygamy argument. Like, marriage is between one man and one woman. You completely destroy the institution of marriage when you introduce the idea of polygamy, because it immediately becomes the counterfeit antithesis of it. You cannot be a dual citizen while serving in the United States government, period, end of story.
Well, yeah, it would be definitively a conflict of interest. I mean, even the founding fathers, they were British citizens, and they renounced their citizenship for liberty and freedom and making the foundation of the nation that we're in right now. They denounced that and were like, we ain't British, we're Americans. So even then, with just making the nation, they denounced all that to have a definitive line drawn of what their goals, aspirations, and what they were building and being an American with the interest of America at heart.
And this information should be provided publicly and upfront, but I don't think we could trust our present media to actually be able to report on that accurately.
No, like I was saying earlier, reminded me of the Barry Soetoro days when Sheriff Arpaio came out and found out that President Barack Obama was born in Kenya and that his birth certificate that he presented to the American people was a forensic fraud.
Yeah.
And so imagine had that been front and center in 2006, 2007, this young man with a skinny kid from Chicago with a funny name is from Kenya. It's like, would we have voted for him? I don't think so.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. His wife may not be a chick.
Oh, Mike? Yeah, Mike's okay, I guess. Mike likes healthy food in schools.
And they might get a divorce. I think Big Mike's going to get all the money.
Body like a linebacker.
Go ahead. You have to end every podcast with a Big Mike joke. Other than that, that's all I got.
No, the will of the American people should always be the goal of any political representative from small to big. I don't care if you're a city council, a mayor, you're part of a, whatever it is. The will of the citizenship for the people you're supposed to be representing in the country you're in should always be the main focus. And if you do have dual citizenship, I personally think, especially when it comes to national stuff, you definitely need to. I don't know about some of the smaller stuff, but it's always got to be the will of the people you're supposed to be representing in the country that you're living in should always be the main focus and interest that your goals are adhered to.
Ilhan Omar should step down from office. She does not represent anybody in her present place. She represents
her brother that she
country.
married.
Yeah, and him too. She's really
represents him.
She's really upholding him.
Gross. So gross.
Minnesota could do better. I agree.
Well, we digress. This has been Spiritual Insurgency. Join us every day on YouTube and Rumble. God bless.
Peace.
You want it better, be better.